Jake Morrison wiped the grease from his hands and looked at the engine readings one more time. Everything was running smooth on the trading ship called Horizon's Edge. The big metal ship carried goods between different planets and star systems. Jake had been working here for 2 years now, fixing engines and keeping all the machines running right. He was one of 4 humans on the ship. The others were Lisa Park, who handled all the talking with other ships, Tony Garcia, who figured out where they were going, and Amy Chen, who took care of anyone who got sick or hurt. The rest of the crew were aliens from different worlds. Their captain was a tall alien woman named Zixara. She came from a planet where her people looked like giant bugs that could walk on 2 legs. She was almost 8 feet tall with hard skin that looked like armor. She had 4 arms instead of 2 like humans did. Her face had big jaws with sharp teeth that could bite through metal. When she talked, her voice sounded like rocks grinding together. Jake had learned not to be scared of Captain Zixara. She was tough but fair. She never asked her crew to do anything she would not do herself. When pirates attacked other ships, she would fight them off. When the ship needed repairs in dangerous places, she would go out and do the work. All the crew respected her because she was strong and smart. The ship also had other aliens working on it. First Officer Velthar was from the same bug-like race as the captain. He was smaller but still bigger than any human. Engineer Kixnell was also from their world. She worked with Jake to keep the engines running. There was also Whom, who came from a world where his people could see in many different ways. He helped fly the ship through space. For 2 years, everything had been normal. Jake would wake up, eat breakfast, and go work on the engines. Lisa would talk to other ships and space stations. Tony would check their path through space. Amy would make sure everyone stayed healthy. The alien crew members did their jobs too. Captain Zixara would give orders and make sure everything ran smooth. But 3 weeks ago, things started to change. It began small. Captain Zixara started snapping at crew members for tiny mistakes. She would click her back 2 arms together when she got angry. Before, she only did that when they were in real danger. Now she did it when someone was just a few minutes late. Jake noticed she was looking at him more often. When he was working on the engines, he would feel someone watching him. He would turn around and see the captain standing there, staring at him with her big black eyes. When he looked back, she would quickly look away and pretend she was checking something else. Her voice changed too. When she talked to the other crew members, her voice stayed the same grinding rock sound. But when she talked to Jake, her voice got higher. Sometimes it almost sounded like she was singing. The strangest thing was the work orders she gave him. Before, Jake would fix engines with other crew members helping him. Now Captain Zixara sent him to work alone in parts of the ship where no one else went. Last week she sent him to fix a broken air filter in the far back of the ship. It was a job that usually took 2 people, but she told everyone else to stay away. When Jake went to fix the air filter, he found that it was not really broken. Someone had just turned it off. He turned it back on and it worked fine. When he told Captain Zixara, she just nodded and walked away quickly. 2 days later, she sent him to check the water systems in the bottom of the ship. Again, he had to go alone. Again, nothing was really broken. Someone had just moved some pipes around to make it look like there was a problem. Jake started to think Captain Zixara was testing him for some reason. Maybe she wanted to see if he could handle hard jobs by himself. Maybe she was thinking about giving him a better position on the ship. He did not ask her about it because he did not want to seem like he was complaining. But the other humans on the ship started to notice too. Lisa came to him after dinner one night and said the captain was acting strange. Tony said he saw the captain following Jake around the ship when Jake was not looking. Amy said something was wrong with the captain's behavior, but she did not know what. The alien crew members were acting strange too. Velthar and Kixnell would stop talking when Jake walked into a room. They would look at him and then look at each other like they knew something he did not know. Whom kept making soft humming sounds when he saw Jake, which his people only did when they were worried about something. Yesterday, things got even weirder. Jake was eating lunch by himself when Captain Zixara sat down across from him. She did not have any food. She just sat there and watched him eat. Her forearms were moving in ways Jake had never seen before. Her back 2 arms were making small circles in the air. Her front 2 arms were tapping on the table like she was nervous. She asked him questions about his work, but the questions did not make sense. She wanted to know if he was strong enough to lift heavy things by himself. She asked if he was brave when things got dangerous. She asked if he ever thought about fighting other people to prove he was the best at his job. Jake answered her questions as best he could, but he felt confused. Why did she care if he was strong or brave? His job was to fix engines, not fight people. When he finished eating, Captain Zixara followed him back to the engine room. She stood in the doorway and watched him work for almost an hour. Every time he looked at her, she was staring at him with those big black eyes. When other crew members walked by, she would make a low growling sound until they went away. That night, Jake could not sleep well. He kept thinking about how strange everyone was acting. He decided he would talk to Amy tomorrow. She was smart about people and might know what was happening. But when morning came, Jake found something that made him forget all about talking to Amy. Outside his room door, someone had left a dead ship rat. It was torn apart like something with sharp teeth had killed it. There was a note next to it written in the captain's handwriting. The note said, "For Jake, from your captain." Jake stared at the dead rat outside his door for a long time. His hands were shaking as he picked up the note. The captain's writing was messy, not neat like it usually was. He quickly threw the rat into the garbage chute and put the note in his pocket. He did not want anyone else to see it. At breakfast, Jake sat with Lisa, Tony, and Amy like always, but he could not eat much. He kept looking around to see if Captain Zixara was watching him. She was not in the eating area, which was strange. She always ate breakfast with her crew. Amy noticed Jake was not eating. She was good at seeing when people were worried or sick. "You look terrible," she said. "Did you sleep okay?" Jake almost told her about the rat, but then he saw Velthar and Kixanel at the next table. They were listening to everything the humans said. Jake decided to wait until he could talk to Amy alone. After breakfast, Jake went to work on the engines. He tried to focus on his job, but his mind kept thinking about the dead rat. Why would Captain Zixara leave him a dead animal? What did it mean? Was she angry at him? Was she trying to scare him? Around lunchtime, Jake heard a loud crash from the cargo bay. He ran to see what happened and found Captain Zixara in the middle of a huge mess. She had moved boxes and metal sheets around to make some kind of structure. It looked like a nest that a giant bird might build, but it was made from ship parts and cargo containers. The captain was in the center of the nest, arranging pieces of cloth and metal. Jake noticed some of the cloth looked like his work shirts that had gone missing from the laundry. There were also tools from his workshop, and even his coffee cup from yesterday. When Captain Zixara saw Jake, she made a loud hissing sound and all 4 of her arms started moving fast. Her face turned a darker color, which Jake had never seen before. She jumped out of the nest and ran away so fast that she knocked over more boxes. Jake stood there looking at the strange nest. He did not understand what was happening, but he knew it was not normal. He decided he had to talk to Amy right away. He found Amy in the medical room checking supplies. Jake made sure no aliens were around. Then he closed the door and told her everything. He showed her the note about the dead rat. He told her about all the strange work orders and how the captain had been watching him. He described the nest in the cargo bay. Amy listened to everything without saying a word. When Jake finished talking, she was quiet for a long time. Then she went to her computer and started looking up information about different alien species. "I think I know what might be happening," Amy said after reading for a while. "But I need to check something first. Can you come back here tonight after dinner? And do not tell anyone else about this yet." Jake agreed, but the rest of the day was very hard. Captain Zixara did not show up for the daily crew meeting. Belthar said she was busy with important captain work and would talk to everyone tomorrow, but Jake could tell that Velthar was worried too. During his afternoon work, Jake kept finding problems that were not really problems. Someone had loosened bolts on the air recycling system, but not enough to break it. Someone had moved wires around to make it look like there was an electrical issue, but everything still worked fine. Each time Jake fixed these fake problems, he felt like someone was watching him from the shadows. That evening, Jake went to Amy's medical room after dinner. She had printed out lots of papers about alien biology. Her face looked serious and a little scared. "Jake, I think Captain Zixera is going through something called a mating period," Amy said. "I looked up everything I could find about her species, the Kethvari." Jake did not understand. "What does that mean?" Amy showed him pictures and information on her computer. Kethvari females go through a special time every 7 years. During this time, they look for a mate. But they do not just ask someone to be their partner like humans do. They have to test the male to see if he is strong and smart enough. "Test him how?" Jake asked. "They create dangerous situations to see if the male can handle them. They leave gifts to show they can provide food. They build nests to show they can make a safe home. And they get very aggressive toward anyone who gets close to their chosen male." Jake felt sick to his stomach. "You think she chose me?" Amy nodded. "All the signs match. The fake problems she created were tests to see if you could solve them alone. The dead rat was a gift to show she can hunt. The nest was to show she can build a home. And have you noticed how she acts when other crew members talk to you?" Jake thought about it. Yesterday, when Tony had asked him about engine repairs, Captain Zixera had appeared suddenly and told Tony to leave Jake alone and ask someone else. At the time, Jake thought she was just being mean, but now it made sense. "But I am human," Jake said. "She cannot really think I would be a good mate for her species." "That is the problem," Amy said. Kethvari mating behavior is controlled by their biology, not their thinking. Once it starts, they cannot stop it easily, and the tests get more and more dangerous until the male either proves himself or dies trying. Jake felt cold all over. "What kind of dangerous tests?" Amy looked at more papers. "Fighting wild animals. Surviving in dangerous places without help. Sometimes they arrange for enemies to attack so the male can prove he can protect the female and their future children." "We have to tell someone," Jake said. "Maybe Velthar can help us talk to her." Amy shook her head. "I already thought of that, but look at this." She showed him another page. "During mating period, Kethvari females do not listen to advice from anyone. They follow their instincts completely. If we try to interfere, she might see us as threats and attack us." Jake sat down heavily in a chair. "So what can we do?" "I need to research more," Amy said. "Maybe there is a way to end the mating period safely. Or maybe there is a way to convince her that you are not a good choice without making her angry." Just then, the ship's lights flickered and an alarm started beeping. The voice system announced that there was a problem with the life support in Section C. That was the section where Jake had his room and where most of the humans lived. Jake and Amy looked at each other. They both knew this was not a real emergency. This was another test. "She is making the tests more dangerous," Amy said quietly. Jake stood up. "I have to go fix it, or she will make something worse happen." "Be careful," Amy said. "And Jake? Start thinking about this problem like an engineer. There has to be a solution that does not involve you fighting wild animals or dying in some test." Jake nodded and headed toward Section C. As he walked through the ship, he could feel Captain Zixera watching him from somewhere in the shadows. The life support problem would be another fake emergency that he would have to solve alone, while she watched to see if he was worthy of being her mate. But Jake was human, and humans were good at solving problems in ways that other species did not expect. He just had to figure out how to use that to save himself and his crew from a very dangerous situation. Jake ran to Section C as fast as he could. The alarm was getting louder and the lights kept flashing red. When he got there, he could smell that the air was getting bad. The life support system was really broken this time, not like the fake problems from before. He opened the control panel and saw that someone had pulled out important wires and broken key parts. This was not just loose bolts or moved pipes. Someone had really damaged the system. If he could not fix it fast, all the humans on the ship would not be able to breathe. Jake worked as quickly as he could. He had to crawl into small spaces to reach the broken wires. The bad air was making him dizzy, but he kept working. He could hear footsteps in the hallway outside, but no one came to help him. After an hour of hard work, Jake got the life support working again. Fresh air started flowing and the alarm stopped. He was covered in sweat and his hands were cut from working with sharp metal pieces. When Jake came out of the control room, he found Captain Zixara waiting for him. She was standing very straight and her eyes were bright. All 4 of her arms were moving in excited patterns. "You did well," she said in her strange singing voice. "You saved your people without help from anyone." Jake was too tired to be polite. "You broke it on purpose. You could have killed us all." Captain Zixara tilted her head like she did not understand why he was upset. "The danger was real. That made your success mean something. You proved you are strong and smart." She reached into a bag and pulled out another dead ship rat. This one was bigger than the first one. She held it out to Jake like it was a present. "I killed this one with my bare hands," she said proudly. "It fought hard, but I was stronger. I give it to you to show I can provide food for our future." Jake did not take the rat. "Captain, I think there has been a mistake. I cannot be your mate. I am human, and you are Kethvari. We are too different." Captain Zixara's face changed. Her eyes got darker and she made a low growling sound. "You think I am not good enough for you? You think you are better than me?" "No, that is not what I mean," Jake said quickly. "I just think," but Captain Zixara was not listening anymore. She threw the dead rat on the floor and walked away, all 4 arms moving in angry gestures. Jake went to find Amy and told her what happened. Amy looked more worried than before. "The tests are going to get worse," she said. "I found more information about Kethvari mating behavior. If the female thinks the male is rejecting her, she creates bigger and more dangerous tests to prove her worth." "What kind of bigger tests?" Jake asked, even though he was afraid to know. "Combat with enemies," Amy said. "She will put you in a situation where you have to fight to survive, and she will expect you to win by yourself to show you can protect her and your future children." The next morning, Jake woke up to the sound of the ship's emergency alarm. This was not the small alarm from yesterday. This was the big alarm that meant the whole ship was in danger. Jake ran to the command center and found all the crew gathered there. On the big screen, they could see another ship approaching them. It was black and covered with weapons. Jake had seen ships like this before in pictures. It was a pirate ship. Captain Zixara stood in front of the screen with her back straight and her arms crossed. She looked excited, not scared like everyone else. "Sarkhan pirates," said Velthar. "They are very dangerous. We should run away or call for help." "No," said Captain Zixara. "We will stay and fight. This is a good day to show our strength." Lisa looked confused. "Captain, our ship is not built for fighting. We carry trade goods, not weapons. We should escape while we can." Captain Zixara turned around and looked directly at Jake. "A true warrior does not run from danger. A true leader protects his crew no matter what." Jake understood. This was not just a pirate attack. Captain Zixara had somehow arranged for these pirates to attack their ship. This was her biggest test, yet she wanted him to fight the pirates and win to prove he was worthy of being her mate. The pirate ship got closer and started shooting at them. The horizon's edge shook as the weapons hit their shields. Captain Zixara gave orders to her crew, but the orders did not make sense. She told them to turn off the security systems. She told them to open the doors that would let the pirates inside the ship. "Captain, what are you doing?" Velthar asked. "We need to keep the pirates out, not let them in." "The test must be fair," Captain Zixara said. "If we use the ship's defenses, it will not prove anything." Jake realized that Captain Zixara was going to let the pirates board their ship. Then she would lock herself away somewhere safe and expect him to fight off all the pirates by himself. If he won, she would know he was strong enough to be her mate. If he lost, he would be dead, and she would find someone else to test. The pirates attached their ship to the horizon's edge and started cutting through the outer doors. Jake could hear them shouting in their rough language. There were at least 10 of them, maybe more. Captain Zixara walked toward the exit. "I will be in my private quarters. Do not disturb me until the test is finished." She looked at Jake one more time. "Show me what humans can do when they must protect what they love." Then she was gone and Jake was left with Lisa, Tony, Amy, and the scared alien crew members. The pirates were almost through the outer door. "What do we do?" Lisa asked. Jake thought. Fast. Captain Zixara expected him to fight the pirates alone like some kind of warrior hero, but Jake was not a warrior. He was an engineer, and humans did not usually fight alone. Humans worked together as a team. "We are not going to fight them the way she expects," Jake said. "We are going to fight them the human way." "What is the human way?" Tony asked. Jake smiled for the first time in days. "We are going to cheat." The pirates finished cutting through the door and came inside the ship. They were big and covered with scars and tattoos. They carried weapons and looked ready for a fight. But Jake and his human crew were ready too. They had spent the last few minutes preparing a surprise that the pirates would never expect. Jake had used his engineering skills to turn the ship's maintenance systems into weapons. Lisa had hacked into the communication system to confuse the pirates. Tony had changed the ship's gravity settings to make it hard for the pirates to walk. Amy had prepared medical supplies that could also be used to stop enemies. The pirates thought they were boarding a helpless trade ship. Instead, they walked into a trap designed by 4 humans who knew how to work together and use their brains instead of just their muscles. When the first pirate stepped into the main hallway, Jake turned on the electrical system he had rigged to the floor. The pirate got shocked and fell down. When more pirates came through the door, Lisa's computer program made loud, scary noises come from speakers all around them. Tony made the floor tilt so the pirates could not stand up straight. In less than an hour, all the pirates were either unconscious, trapped, or running back to their ship. They had never faced anything like the humans' teamwork before. As the pirate ship flew away, Jake wondered what Captain Zixara would think of his victory. He had not fought the pirates with his bare hands like a Kethvari warrior would. He had used his brain and worked with his friends to win. Now he had to wait and see if she would accept that humans had their own way of being strong. Jake waited in the main hallway with Lisa, Tony, and Amy. The pirate ship was gone, but they could still see it getting smaller on the security screens. The human crew had worked together to win, but Jake was not sure if Captain Zixara would understand what they had done. Velthar and Kicksnell came out of hiding. They looked amazed and confused. Whom made his worried humming sounds even louder than before. "How did you do that?" Velthar asked. 4 humans defeated 10 Sarkon pirates. That should be impossible." "We worked together," Jake said. "We used our different skills to make a plan." Kicksnell shook her head. "But you did not fight them with weapons. You did not prove your individual strength. How can the captain accept this as passing her test?" Jake realized that the alien crew members knew about Captain Zixara's mating period. They had been watching and waiting to see what would happen. Maybe they had even helped her arrange some of the tests. "You all knew what was happening," Jake said. "Why did you not tell me?" Velthar looked uncomfortable. "It is not our place to interfere with the captain's biological needs. We hoped you would understand and accept her courtship properly." "Accept it properly how?" Amy asked. "By fighting her challenges alone and proving your individual worth," Kicksnell explained. "That is how Kethvari males show they are suitable mates." "But I am not Kethvari," Jake said. "I am human. We do things differently." Before anyone could answer, Captain Zixara came out of her quarters. She walked slowly toward them, and Jake could not tell if she was happy or angry. Her forearms were moving in patterns he had never seen before. She stopped in front of Jake and stared at him with her big black eyes. Everyone else stayed quiet and waited to see what she would do. "You defeated the pirates," she said finally. "Yes," Jake said. "But you did not fight them yourself. You used tricks and teamwork." Jake nodded. "That is the human way. We work together to solve problems." Captain Zixara was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "I do not understand this. In my culture, a male must prove his strength alone. He must show he can protect his mate and children without help from others. In human culture, we are stronger when we work together," Jake said. "One human alone might not be very strong, but humans working as a team can solve almost any problem." Captain Zixara began pacing back and forth. Her arms moved faster and she made clicking sounds with her mouth. This is not how the mating tests are supposed to work. I do not know how to judge your worth if you will not follow the proper rules. Amy stepped forward. Captain, may I say something? Captain Zixara looked at Amy with suspicion. During her mating period, she saw other females as competition for Jake's attention. Speak quickly. I have been studying Kethavari biology and culture, Amy said. I understand why you are testing Jake, but I think there is something you should know about human biology and culture too. What do you mean? Captain Zixara asked. Amy looked at Jake, and he nodded to show it was okay for her to continue. Humans choose their mates very differently than Kethavari do, Amy explained. We do not use tests of individual strength. We look for partners who can work well with us and who share our values. We want mates who make us stronger as a team, not just strong individuals. Captain Zixara stopped pacing. Are you saying that Jake does not want to be tested for strength? I am saying that the tests you are giving him do not match what humans value in a partner, Amy said carefully. If you want to understand if Jake would be a good mate by human standards, you need different kinds of tests. Jake saw his chance to help solve this problem. Captain, would you be willing to try some human-style tests instead? Captain Zixara tilted her head. What kind of tests? Jake thought quickly. He needed to suggest tests that would satisfy her biological need to evaluate a potential mate, but that would also show human strengths instead of trying to make him act like a Kethavari warrior. Tests that show how well we can work together, Jake said. Tests that prove we can solve problems as a team. Tests that show we can understand each other and make good decisions together. Captain Zixara looked confused. But how would that prove you are strong enough to protect our children? Because humans protect our families by being smart and working together, not just by being individually strong, Lisa said, joining the conversation. Jake showed that when he organized all of us to defeat the pirates. Tony nodded. In human culture, the best leaders are not the ones who can fight the best. They are the ones who can bring people together and help them use their different skills. Captain Zixara walked in a circle around Jake, looking at him from all sides. Her biological instincts were telling her one thing, but she was starting to understand that human culture worked differently. If I agree to try these human tests, she said, slowly, what would they involve? Jake thought about it. We could work together to solve engineering problems. We could practice leading the crew through difficult situations. We could show how human and Kethavari abilities could work together to make us all stronger. And if you pass these tests, what then? Captain Zixara asked. This was the hard question. Jake knew that Captain Zixara's biology was pushing her to find a mate, but he also knew that a human Kethavari romantic relationship would probably not work. He needed to find a solution that would satisfy her biological needs without creating bigger problems. If I pass the tests, we could become partners in a different way, Jake said carefully. Not romantic partners, but work partners. We could show other ships and other crews how humans and Kethavari can work together. We could be leaders who prove that different species can be stronger when they cooperate. Captain Zixara was quiet for a very long time. Jake could see her thinking hard, trying to balance her biological instincts with her logical mind. Finally, she spoke. This is not what my instincts tell me to do, but I can see that your way of thinking has merit. The way you defeated the pirates was impressive, even if it was not traditional. She paused and looked at all the crew members watching them. I will agree to try your human-style tests, she said, but they must be real tests that prove your worth. And if you fail them, my biological cycle will not be satisfied, and the dangerous tests will continue. Jake nodded. I understand. What kind of tests do you want to try? Captain Zixara thought for a moment. 3 tests. First, we will work together to solve a problem that requires both human and Kethavari skills. Second, you will show me how you would lead a mixed crew through a crisis. Third, you will prove that a partnership between us would benefit not just our ship, but other ships and crews in the galaxy. Those are good tests, Jake said. When do we start? Captain Zixara's expression became more relaxed than it had been in weeks. We start tomorrow. Tonight I need to think about how to design tests that will satisfy both my biological needs and your cultural values. As the captain walked back to her quarters, Jake felt hopeful for the first time since this whole situation started. They had found a way to work with her biology instead of fighting against it. Now he just had to prove that humans and Kethvari could be partners in ways that neither species had imagined before. The next morning, Captain Zixara called all the crew to the main meeting room. She looked more like her old self, but Jake could still see the strange light in her eyes that meant her mating period was not over yet. Today we begin the human-style tests, she announced. Jake Morrison has proposed a different way to prove partnership between our species. We will see if his ideas have value. She turned to Jake. The first test begins now. Our ship's main computer has a problem that neither human nor Kethvari technology can solve alone. You must work with me to fix it using both of our species' knowledge and skills. Jake followed Captain Zixara to the computer control room. The main computer screen showed error messages in 3 different alien languages. The computer was trying to process trade agreements with 5 different planets at the same time, but it kept crashing because each planet used different data formats. Human computers are good at creative problem solving, Captain Zixara said. Kethvari computers are good at handling many complex tasks at once, but this problem needs both abilities working together. Jake looked at the error messages and started to understand the problem. The computer is trying to translate all the different formats at the same time. That is too much work for any single system. Exactly, Captain Zixara said. How do we solve it? Jake thought about how humans and Kethvari could work together. What if we split the work? Human systems could handle the translation and creative problem solving. Kethvari systems could handle the multiple tasks and complex calculations. Captain, Zixara nodded slowly. That could work. But how do we make human and Kethvari computers talk to each other? They spent the next 4 hours working side by side. Jake used his engineering knowledge to build bridge programs that would let the 2 computer systems share information. Captain Zixara used her knowledge of Kethvari technology to make sure both systems could work at the same time without conflicts. When they finished, the trade agreements were processed perfectly. Each planet's data was handled in its own format, but all the information was shared between the systems. The solution was better than what either species could have created alone. Impressive, Captain Zixara said. This partnership approach has merit. But can you lead others using these ideas? The second test came the next day, when their ship received a distress call from a cargo vessel that was under attack by space raiders. Captain Zixara told Jake he had to decide how to respond and lead the rescue mission. Jake gathered all the crew in the command center. We have a ship in trouble, but we are not a military vessel. How do we help them without getting ourselves killed? Instead of just giving orders, Jake asked each crew member what skills they could contribute. Lisa suggested using communication tricks to confuse the raiders. Tony proposed using the ship's speed and movement to avoid being shot. Amy recommended ways to help injured people once they rescued the other crew. Velthar and Kixnell offered their knowledge of Kethvari battle tactics. Whom could use his special vision to track the raider ships in ways that human sensors could not. Jake combined all these ideas into a plan that used everyone's abilities. They would approach the battle area with Whom guiding them through the raiders' blind spots. Lisa would jam the raiders' communications, while Tony flew evasive patterns to avoid getting hit. The Kethvari crew would prepare defensive measures, while Amy got ready to treat wounded people. The rescue worked perfectly. They saved the cargo ship's crew without anyone getting hurt, and the raiders fled when they realized they could not catch or hurt the horizon's edge. After the rescue, Captain Zixara pulled Jake aside. You led that mission well. You did not try to do everything yourself. You made each person feel important and used their best skills. That is how humans lead, Jake said. We believe everyone has something valuable to contribute. Captain Zixara was quiet for a moment. This is very different from Kethvari leadership, but I can see its effectiveness. You are ready for the final test. The third test was the most important one. Captain Zixara wanted Jake to prove that Human-Kethavari partnerships could benefit the whole galaxy, not just their ship. Jake spent 2 days working on his proposal. He researched trade routes, communication between different species, and the problems that mixed crews faced on other ships. He talked to Lisa, Tony, and Amy about their experiences working with aliens. He also talked to Velthar, Kixnell, and Hum about the challenges they faced working with humans. When Jake presented his ideas to Captain Zixera, he had a complete plan for improving cooperation between different species throughout the galaxy. Most mixed crews fail because they try to make all species work the same way, Jake explained. Instead, we should create new ways of working that use each species' strengths. He showed her detailed proposals for new training programs that would teach each species about the other's biology and culture. He suggested new ship designs that would accommodate different species' needs. He proposed new trading agreements that would benefit all species equally. But the most important part, Jake said, is that we need examples of successful partnerships. Ships like ours could become training centers where crews from different species learn to work together. Captain Zixara studied his proposals carefully. These ideas could change how the entire galaxy handles multi-species cooperation, but implementing them would be a huge responsibility. That is why it would take a partnership, Jake said. I could not do this alone, and neither could you. But together, humans and Kethavari could lead the galaxy toward better cooperation. Captain Zixara stood up and walked around the room. Jake could see her thinking hard, and he could tell that her biological mating period was finally coming to an end. The strange light in her eyes was fading, and she was thinking more like the practical captain he had always known. Jake Morrison, she said finally, you have passed all 3 tests, but not in the way I expected when this began. She turned to face him directly. You have shown me that strength comes in many forms. You have proven that leadership means bringing out the best in others, not just commanding them. And you have demonstrated that partnerships between species can create something better than either species could achieve alone. Jake waited to hear what she would decide. I accept you as my partner, Captain Zixara said. Not as a mate in the biological sense, but as a partner in work and leadership. Together we will create new ways for species to cooperate and understand each other. She paused and her expression became more serious. But this partnership comes with great responsibility. We will be pioneers in interspecies cooperation. Other ships and crews will watch us to see if our methods work. I understand, Jake said, and I accept the partnership. Captain Zixara nodded. Then let us begin changing the galaxy, one ship at a time. 6 months later, the Horizon's Edge had become famous throughout the trade routes as the most successful mixed-species crew in the galaxy. Jake was promoted to first officer, and he worked with Captain Zixara to develop new training programs that other ships could use. Lisa became the head of interspecies communications, creating new methods for different species to understand each other better. Tony developed navigation techniques that accommodated the different ways various species perceived space. Amy established the first comprehensive medical database for treating mixed crews. The partnership between Jake and Captain Zixara proved that different species could work together in ways that made everyone stronger. They showed the galaxy that cooperation was better than competition, and that understanding was more powerful than dominance. And Jake learned that sometimes the strangest problems led to the best solutions, especially when humans did what they did best: adapt, understand, and build bridges between different worlds.